going on, guys? Bigfoot here from Team Playmakers. I'm here with Playmakers' own Sammy Valentino. What did you unfortunately pass and finish and do today?
So I ended up making day 2 at my first Nats ever. Lost round 11 on the bubble. Game 3, I drew no hand traps. So unfortunately, we draw no hand traps in this game. Your opponents just play for free.
What was your final record?
It was X2 or X3. I apologize, X3. So 8-3.
That's kind of sad, but hey, let's go on and get into it anyways.
All right, so I played Swordsoul for this event. I think it's just still viably one of the best decks out there. It's really consistent. So like the main, obviously, 3 Moye, 3 Longyong, 2 Taie. That's pretty much the ratio for your Swordsoul cards. And then I just play 2 Ecclesia. I know a lot of people cut it to 2 recently, and I think it's probably just the best way to play it because you don't really want to start with this card in your hand if you go first, and you don't want to see it too much if you go second. So I think just playing it at 2 is perfect. Like there's no other way to play the card, so I think it's just perfect like that. I tried to max out on all the worms, so 3 Ashuna, 3 Adhara, 3 Vishuddha, and then 1 Shatana. I know I saw people playing now like the fire worm or like the earthworm, whatever, which one it is. I still think this is the best one of you should play because there's a lot of times they came up where I was able to pop my own monk and then resummon it and then still like have my Chowfang on board and still have another monk to go into shaman to extend my plays. So I think this is just the best worm, to be honest, because it helps you extend your plays when you don't have any plays to make further. But yeah, so I would just do all 3 and then really just Shatana. And then for hand traps, my ratio is a little weird, but like my deck is already at 44, so I didn't want to like extend it and max it to 47. So I felt like Ash was like just one of the most important hand traps to play, so I maxed it at 3. And then I played 2 Droll. I played the same thing at Hartford, and it did really well for me at Hartford, and it came out really well for me in this event as well. A lot of people really don't expect someone to main deck Droll, but I think with this current format and the way things are going, like main deck Droll is just important. So a lot of people probably run it at 3. Like I said, I ran it at 2, and it just worked perfect for me. 2 Bell. This card is a little like, people probably like wondering why. For this event, and same thing for Hartford, there was a lot of like Punk Therion and Branded and like Dragon and things that were just like using a lot of cards to revive from deck. So I thought this was just like one of the best hand traps to play. Like I said, I could have played it at 3, but I think at 2 it was perfectly fine, and I saw it enough to where I resolved it a lot, and it came out perfect for me, especially with, if you have these 2 in hand with Branded, you pretty much just win if you know how to do it correctly. And if you have these 2 with someone who's playing against Brave, and they use water enchanters, so you can just bell it. And then if they gamma you, have the Ash for, like the gamma, so you can like try to stop plays like that. And then just 2 Effect Veiler. So, like I said, the ratios are really weird, but for my deck it actually worked, and I saw 2 hand traps almost every single time that I played, except obviously round 11 where I drew none. But yeah, it just worked. It worked really well for me. And then for the spells, 3 Moye, 2 Vessel, 2 Circle, 2 Pot,
Winamap 175,
1
blue.
Called By,
Winamap
and then 1 Harpy's Feather in the main.
Red.
These are pretty much standard.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Day
The Harpy's Feather in the
23.
main came
Go to
from
the
after
green
when
banner.
Poe had one with Sky Striker.
Duelist 37.
I had went to a regional and everyone was
Blue.
playing like Mystic Mind that day with Sky Strikers, so I
Regional
was like playing it
39.
out on my deck.
Red
And
banner.
I've left it in there ever since because one, it's one of the best outs
Winamap
spells and traps.
177.
Because people don't really
Green
set
banner.
2 when you have blackout, because obviously not, they don't want the 3
Battle
Mind to get popped.
City 11.
But yeah, this is just
Blue
one of
banner.
the best. You don't have to pay 1,000, you don't have to do anything, you just play it and everything's popped and you pretty much just win from there. And then for more, just 3 Imperm and then 1 blackout. Pretty standard. And then for the extra deck, shout out the tokens, they're insane, let's go, you know the vibes. But yeah, for the tokens, or not for the tokens, for the extra deck, it's just pretty standard. It's just 3 Monk, 1 Shaman. You have to play 3 Monk now. especially like when you're put in situations where you have to waste the 2 to go into the shaman. A lot of times you don't want to just revive a monk, so you pitch another card to revive a Taie or revive another worm like Sync or whatever the case is. So you always have this in your back burner. So if you're not playing 3 monk, I suggest that you do. It's the best way to play it. What else is here? 1 Yazi, standard. 2 Boxia, pretty standard, and then 2 Shishao as well. 1 Dragite. I think this card's still really good. This is like my only flex spot in the deck. I really was going to play Goyo Guardian, believe it or not, because there was like a lot of stuff where I tested in the regional where I had played Goyo Guardian, and it came up a lot and it won me games. I know it sounds crazy, Goyo Guardian 2022, it sounds nuts, but it really worked really well. But yeah, this is probably the only flex spot, but for this tournament, I definitely, like, for something bigger where I didn't want to test it, Dragite obviously came up way better. Berserker, another extender at level 8. You can use it if you get token collected and you somehow clear it, and then you don't want them to bring it back next turn, knowing that your opponent doesn't have anything and you're going to summon a token, then you can just banish it. And it's easy ways to play around like token collector and other cards that your opponent has that you can just banish if you don't want on board. And then Chao Fang, this card is just absolutely nuts. It's a hand trap checker for like every single hand trap in the game. Once you get Saboxia and Hara and summon this, by the time they don't stop the Boxia and Hara, then most of the time they don't have like Nib or anything like that. And then if you can get here and resolve this, then you don't have to worry about like Gamma, Nib, Effect Veiler, Imperm, because they would have done it to stop this and or the Boxia. So this is like a good hand trap checker before you actually go into your full combo. And then one of the Cheng Ying, and then Baron, and then Quisin Long, or however you pronounce this. This card is probably the best to start with. I usually find myself starting with this game 1s more than Baron, because I would rather have 2 draws and have more hand traps in my hand and or extenders than just have them at a gate that my opponent can make me use on my turn, and that way I can't do anything after that. So yeah, that's probably that's it for the extra deck. Side deck, it hits pretty much everything. So Cosmics, Dark Rulers. This combination here is really well. This was Chalice at one point, but I just decided that I don't want to play Droplet because the deck already, you don't want to get rid of too much, and a lot of the decks now force you to at least negate 2 or 3 things, and most of the time you only have 2 card starters, 3 card starters for your combination, so you don't want to get rid of 2 and then you're left with nothing. So Dark Ruler, Cosmics, I feel like are perfect for any side deck. One reboot, it's just custom like standard. 3 anti-spell. This card's cracked. There's nothing. 3 Barrier and 3 Rivalry. This right here was just like a showstopper. Any game 3 I went to that I won, I put all 9 of these in, and most of the time I sold 1, and that's all I needed. And this right here won me, I want to say, at least 98% of my games, because my opponents would token collector me, and I would have this, and I would just say, okay, pass and draw phase. I would flip Rivalry, and then now you're stuck with a Fiend. Or they would go Adventure, summon the token, and flip this, and now they're stuck in the fairies. And my opponent's just going to play. This didn't really come up as much. I think it came up once against Branded, but at that point, I already had this and this on field, so this was just, it didn't really do anything. But yeah, like I said, this would be 98% of my games, and this just came up whenever I needed it. But most of the time, it was just sticking around. But yeah, that's really it. So I want to give couple shout outs to Playmakers. I appreciate everything you guys do for me, and the best team coming up. I want to give a shout out to also Tommy and Hani and Pac and everybody, and Joel and Nick and all of you guys for helping me out and encouraging me to come over here and play and do my thing. You guys know who you are. I don't have to name a list, but I appreciate everybody for encouraging me to do what I do in this game and really sticking on my side. This event meant a lot to me, so for me to get this far that I did at my first match was a good way to go out with a bang. I appreciate it, guys.
Louis Torres, table